Hey guys, it is currently 6:14 a.m. in the morning, so I'm gonna try to be quiet so I don't wake up my family, and I can't sleep again. I think I got like all of 30 minutes of sleep before being woken up abruptly from my sleep, so that's fun. I've been working on a paper most of the night, a 1,500 word paper about what inspires me. I think I showed that in a different vlog entry a while ago, or few vlogs, or few journal entries ago. Anyways, this one is about me novel, which is something that I really wanted to do because I did one of these when I was writing one of the first drafts of the novel a while ago. I think it's vlog entry 17. Not entirely sure. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was number 17. So I wrote it, and that draft no longer exists. I didn't like how the direction it went in, so I kind of scrapped it, and now I'm starting again. It does push back my timeline quite a bit, a lot actually, but that's perfectly fine. I end my program in a few weeks, and I'm gonna use the time between from when it ends. I end this semester, I should say. I have 2 classes I'm taking during the summer to finish up the program completely, but the main courses of the program I finish in April, I think mid-April. So I'm going to use the time between the ending of that and the start of the 2 other classes to sit down and work on this novel, and some other stuff that I have to do that I can't really do now because everything is starting to pick up right now, and it's scary, and I don't like it, and I'm horrified. Like, honest to God, I'm horrified, but I'll talk about my college stuff in later entries. This entry, I want to talk about this novel. So when I first started this novel, I knew what I wanted to do, and it was supposed to be the story of 2 people. They fall in love, one person intertwines, that person ends up dead, was dead. It's books, so who knows. I tend to have a nasty habit of bringing people back from the dead, but it was originally I was going to do multi-perspectives, and I tried that, didn't like it. Then I was going to do multi-perspectives again, but I had a supernatural flair spin to it, and then I realized this is kind of getting too close to another novel that I started to write but never finished, and I want to finish, and I have a plan to, but the novel I'm currently writing, Write Her Murder, I felt that draft was getting too close and too intertwined with the other novel, the other few novels that I've outlined in the past, and I didn't like that, so I scrapped that and I started this one. While I was at work, I was at the back of my family shop. No one was in the store, and I just kind of put on my headphones and I wrote a few things down that I'm going to type up and use to expand, and now I'm going in the direction of it's one perspective, the perspective of Noel Salvador, which is the main character, one of the 2 main characters, and he's going to tell his perspective of what happened, since the story mainly follows him. And there's this book that I read a few months back called You. It's inspired the TV show You. I personally love it, and I love the book, and I liked how the book was written in Joe's perspective, and Joe was like describing things, and it has a weird psychological vibe to it, which I assume is the point. And I'm kind of taking that style and writing it with mine. But I'm kind of putting a twist on it because it reads as if someone's writing down like what's it called? Like the guy's a psychopath and he's writing a book about it, but he's really not. Actually, yeah, he might actually be writing a book about what happened. I'm still far away from the end, so I don't really know, but I find it, like how I'm writing it is his perspective. I feel like I've said that already. It's his perspective. He's describing the events of what happened, but it also kind of reads like a autobiography at the start, where he's like explaining his family history and why he is the way he is. And I completely did that on accident. And I'm enjoying writing it. I can't speak, but I know what I want to do is I have this therapist character or psychologist character who was in the first draft I wrote, and then I got rid of that and then wrote the second draft, which then I got rid of that, and she wasn't in that draft yet, but I still had her character planned out, and I would love to bring that character back along with Spencer Parrish's, who's the other character, Spencer's younger brother. I would love to bring him back into it. So we have the psychologist / therapist and Spencer's brother, who were in a previous draft but never made it into this third draft, and I would love to bring them back into it at some point. And when I first started this project, the bookstore owner, because it takes place in a bookstore, surprise, surprise, the main character's a writer, but it doesn't really mainly take place in the bookstore, but it's like it's Noel's legacy, so the bookstore is mentioned a few times, more than a few times. It's a setting for one of the hangouts in the town it takes place in, which is Wolves. But what's it called? At first I wrote it as Noel's mentor owned the store, and his mentor turned out to be Spencer's Spencer's grandfather. But then I kind of didn't like that idea. It seemed really weird and twisted and intertwined that you have a mentor mentoring someone, and then you have a grandkid, and the two just like never met, or his grandchild and like the kid he's mentoring and the grandchild just never met. They spend a lot of time in the same place. So I kind of got rid of that and made the bookshop like the family business, and made the entire family tree like ghostwriters, which is really, really bizarre, but it's kind of fun. There's like a weird gene that all the firstborns in the family get, where it kind of makes the firstborns a bit psychotic. Not sure how I would to explain it without like spoiling it, but it basically alters the brain, and it's like passed down to every firstborn child. I just thought it was interesting. I don't want to give too much away, but I want to talk about how like my writing process for it. I've written 3 drafts of this, and I've taken notes from each of them, and I have those notes aside, and I scrapped out the 3 drafts, and now I'm rewriting it again and using partially I use parts of the notes that I wrote to further the story, but I enjoy just sitting down and writing, like writing out the story as a draft before going in and editing it. Like if the first draft isn't perfect, I typically find it a chore after a while and lose interest. But this time around, since I already did 3 drafts and I kind of have somewhat of an idea of the direction I want to go in, I have my notes that I constantly write down and update and all that fun stuff. And now I know where I want to take this. Like, I've written the ending in my head. I know how this is going to end. And I've kind of written the beginning. No, the middle, I mean. I know what will happen in the middle. And I know why people do what they do. And the events that unfold. I just want to take those and sit down and write it out. And then from there I type it, and as I type I add different words and I fix spelling mistakes and all that stuff. And after that after writing it on my computer and putting it through Grammarly, I send a copy to my father and my mother. Not all the time. Sometimes I just save it to a computer and never look at it again. But when I want to proceed with something, I send it to someone in my family to read it over and give me their thoughts. I think with this one I may give a draft to someone in my family, a friend, and one of my teachers, who is a screenwriter and a storyteller, and recently wrote a novel himself. So I think I'll send it to him when it's done, so he can go over it if he has time and checks it over. It's a complicated process, and I know people will be like, well, have you tried a whiteboard note layout or a sticky note layout? I have. It doesn't really work. I get why people plan out and outline stuff, and it helps. It does help. For me, I tend to write a note and then write like a small paragraph for what I would want to be in a book, and then I take that paragraph and I expand on it, or I just get rid of it and write a whole new paragraph. And I basically use that as an outline. Like, I write a paragraph or two for each chapter, and from there I just create an outline. I create an outline out of paragraphs, essentially, that gives me each basically a plot point. Is that a goose? Oh my god. Someone stole that goose's coffee. Anyways, I make the outlines, and not outlines, the paragraphs, and I basically from there know what I want to write. Or I just write notes, and I use my notes to write the story. But one of my favorite things to do was just sit down with a pad of paper or my computer, mainly a pad of paper, because I love the feeling of pen to paper. So I write freehand, longhand I think it's called, and I just write, and I don't stop until I'm happy with it. That's how I do my stories. I basically most of the time just sit down, no outlines, no nothing, and I write. Because if I plan it, sometimes I feel trapped into doing what that outline is, and I feel obligated to follow that outline block by block. Where if I just sit down and I write what comes to my head, I feel like I can get the first part of the story, or the first draft of the story, finished. Because if I want to change something in the moment, I can change it and not have to realize sit down and spend like an hour or two changing an outline. I can just if I want someone to die, I'll kill them off. If I want like a relationship to break, since I don't have the rest planned out, I'll write it and then go write it as the relationship breaks, and then I write what the characters do afterwards. It's complicated. I probably didn't explain it very well, and I apologize if I didn't, but this is something I probably will touch base on, in the future. But for right now, I love you all to death. I'll see you guys later.